There's a suit on and there's places to go.
Hey, Kujin.
We are faced with the age-old statement posed as a question, which is, can you actually, practically separate the art from the artist? Sub-question, is there a way to listen to, consume an artist's piece of work without having any biases brought into the experience? Is your thoughts of the person creating the art always going to affect the way that you perceive the art?
Okay, so to answer your question, that's tricky because I myself have been in situations where I kind of refuse to listen to certain artists or consume certain works that I thought that the person that was creating them was really abhorrent to certain ethics that I kind of would hold to. Although I realize that it's kind of impossible to really be super stringent about that because you're always going to kind of make exceptions. So I think ultimately it's hard to do, but yeah, you can listen to or imbibe somebody's music or writing or film or whatever and disassociate the work from them as a person. I think that it's possible and that people should try to do it more often. Because if you think about it, and I just really quick, historically, you go back thousands of years, there was more anonymity in art. The idea of the auteur that's creating the work, that's kind of a more modern phenomena. Celebrate the artist that's doing it.
I think that's a good point. I never really thought of that. I felt like that was a proper way to sort of get into what we're going to be talking about, which you can guide us to that.
Well, I don't know about what you've been doing, but I tore myself away from compulsively listening to Taylor Swift in order to listen to the first 3 whole albums over the last week.
Yeah, that's a big ask. I know you love your Taylor Swift.
I do love my Taylor Swift. I think if anybody, I realized when I was running a few days ago, because somebody asked me, Grant from Grant's Rock Warehouse asked one time, he's like, I said, the Stones are my favorite band. He says, over the Beatles? I'm like, yeah. And then I realized, like, if anyone ever asks me that again, like any Beatles fan is like, you picked the Stones over the Beatles? I'd be like, yes, it goes like this. The Stones, Taylor Swift, then the Beatles. And then I see what kind of fallout from that.
Yeah, you better be careful, man. You're playing with fire there. People get very violent over that stuff. Here's what I'm thinking, man. I was listening to these 3 albums. Initially, I was going to sort of hide my personal perspective for the sake of, what we're doing. But I will admit, I'm going to put it out on the table. Not the biggest fan of the person creating this art. Not a big fan of Courtney Love. I find her pretty reprehensible. And so this was an exercise in, I don't know what. It was an exercise in just kind of doing what you just said we should do, right?
It was an exercise in objectivity.
An exercise in objectivity. I'm of the mind, I'm of the opinion that I don't know how possible that is. Like, you say that we should, and you say that it's possible. I think there are certain circumstances where it's not. And but I went into this really wanting to give this a fair shake. And I think I got a grasp on it. I guess let's really quick before we jump into the album. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do her whole lexicon. What?
You said it. What? We're gonna do her.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Nice.
God damn it. I see.
You are a poet.
I'm at my funniest when I'm not trying to be. It's the truth, man. All right, so real quick timeline here, just to get. And I mean, Hole is a band. Courtney Love is the person behind the band, but I sort of just think of her as Hole. I mean, it's her, right? Like everybody in the band.
Well, I want to say really quick, I did do some reading because I was looking at some of the credits on some of these songs. What's that guy who played guitar? Is his name Eric Masterson?
Eric Erlandson.
That dude has had a hand. He seems to be a long-suffering sort of guy who has put a lot of his work. I don't know how talented he is, but I think that whatever his contributions to this project are, I don't think they can be discounted. So I want to just say that for the record. I'm not to blunt what you're saying, but I do think that he seems to have been there from the beginning, and he seems to be somebody who's consistently been like making what she's doing sort of fit a form.
Sorry.
I think that we really can't discount his input. He seems to be the guy who's kind of holding the project together musically and giving it a form. I don't know how good a job he's doing. I don't know if that speaks to if what Hole has put out, the output of Hole. Yeah. I don't know how it speaks to him as a musician and songwriter artist, but he's the guy that's been keeping the thing on track, or from that, whatever, from the 90 to 98. Yeah. So I don't think we can discount him. He's got to be, you gotta like keep that keep him in the picture for your analysis there.
Absolutely. That's a good point. I was going to, you beat me to it. He's the Renfield of this situation. If you want it's true.
What a great metaphor. This episode it's off to a great start.
All right. So we're doing the first three albums. I know they did one in like 2010, but we're not paying attention to that one. But I think I'm really glad that we decided to do these three, because I think it's a perfect summation. It's a perfect spectrum of everything that Courtney Love, bless her soul, it's like a smorgasbord laid out in front of you of all of her ambitions and all of her peculiarities. And say what you will about her. I've already sort of let the cat out of the bag and said that I don't like her as a human being. I think she's scary as fuck. But I will say she is fascinating. That bitch is fucking fascinating. She's so, I don't know, intriguing sounds like too positive, but she's really captivating is the word. That's the word. Like, say what you will about her, she's extremely captivating. So listening to these albums, I got a good musical picture of what she's about, and I don't know what your thoughts are.
What you're saying though, it really, because it's not a huge input, right? It's not a huge output or discography, and any artist that's had a certain amount of duration, you kind of part of what's sort of engaging and exciting about them is that certain albums are capturing, they serve a certain documentary sort of, they capture a moment in the history of the band. My favorite band, the Stones. You can really, what was going on in the world of the Stones in 1976. You listen to Black and Blue and you're getting a particular set of snapshots for that year, and it relates to certain things that are going on with the band and the culture, and the world at that time, whatever. And I found listening to these albums, and they're roughly separated by about 3 to 4 years apart, right?
91, 94, and then 99.
98, I think the last one.
Oh,
the Celebrity Skin 98.
Oh, 98. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but it's at least 3 years apart. And I would go and look on Wikipedia. I was listening to it and I'm looking on Wikipedia. And yeah, you're totally right, dude. The first album, it really does capture like her sort of like, I don't know if it's proto Riot Girl or trying to fit in with the Riot Girl thing or whatever she's doing, but it really captures her vibe at that time. Whereas the next one, Live Through This, it really sort of captures her, I wanted to say celebrated widowhood. It really, that's terrible. I don't want to say that, but that was the first thing that popped into my mind. I don't know.
There's a reason.
Yeah, it captures the celebrated widowhood. It captures sort of like the coalescing of the estate. There's a lot of stuff that's going on there that relates to where she was in her life. And then most fascinatingly, when you read the Wikipedia about Celebrity Skin, it captures the fact that she'd been in the People versus Larry Flint movie. People were sort of talking about her like she might become a legitimate sort of actress, movie star type person. She was getting into like granola kind of yoga sort of stuff, and she was kind of going Hollywood. And then in order to get that album facilitated, she had to sort of tap in to the really vacuous celebrity aspects of LA and Hollywood and all this stuff. So those 3 albums, probably if someone was really totally captivated by her, you could really have those soundtracks those albums be the soundtracks for the chapters of the biography of her life, because they really do capture sonically and lyrically where she is and what she's sort of moving towards at the time. It's just what's really unfortunate from an objective standpoint of the original question you asked. What's unfortunate is that the first 2 albums don't offer anything that's of objective value, whereas the 3rd album does. Now, I'm jumping ahead, but I have to sort of say that I think that the first 2 albums are basically dreck.
I respect. I think we've got it. I think our opinions are flipped. I would say, but I gotta put an asterisk by what I'm saying, because I found that Live Through This being their seminal album, to me, actually was the best thing that she did. And here's why. And I will say this. I think some of that, a significant portion of that opinion, comes from the nostalgia attached to that album, because also she is the quintessential 90s alternative grunge chick. Like she's like if I go into my job and I go onto the corporate radio station that we're allowed to listen to and I put in 90s alternative, Nirvana doesn't come up, Pearl Jam doesn't come up, Soundgarden doesn't come up. Hole is a picture of Hole where it says 90s alternative station.
Really?
Yes. And I found that fascinating, because if you think about it, anytime I don't even know if this is sort of a dated example, because television doesn't really work this way anymore. But when you're like watching like some sort of advertisement for a decade, like, when they just, the 80s, and they'd throw like a CD together, like yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The music that she made wasn't the best in that era, but I feel like what she created and the persona and the look and all that stuff sort of got stuck in, like, was like a mosquito stuck in amber, like an insect that was like frozen in that time. She's like the perfect totem for that era for whatever reason.
Really, really quick though, to interject, and I think this is important though, and this serves my point. When you think of that 90s montage song, if it has to be Whole, it's not Doll Parts, it's Make Me Over. That's the song. That's the song that's played. Even if it's showing her from 1994, the Make Me Over song, that's the song that gets played. If that Celebrity Skin album hadn't come out, it's not a great album, but it's a good album. That legacy you're talking about, it would not hold up solely on Live Through This. I guarantee you that's my spicy take, dude.
Mamma mia, that's a spicy meatball.
I guarantee you, dude, that legacy, everything that you described right there, right? The iconography argument you're making, it's iconic. It would not hold up if it didn't have that song. Celebrity Skin, Malibu, Awful. Those are the songs that play. Even if it's a picture of Courtney Love from 93, it's Celebrity Skin that's playing under it. That her legacy iconically from the 90s would be nothing without that album.
Yeah. I won't argue that, especially because I think it encapsulates the truest form that she allows to be seen of herself. That's what she's about. I found when I was listening to it, I remember when I put the first album on, what's it, Pretty on the Inside? I remember listening to it and going like, these songs are just like bouncing off the side of my head. Nothing's sticking. It just sounds like one mushy, long song. And it's crazy because it's under 40 minutes, the track time, but it felt like a fucking hour and a half. It was and people love that album. I'm not.
They do?
Yeah. A lot of people think that that's the best whole album. A lot of the old schoolers, I actually don't even know who does, but I've heard people be like, that's the best album. And I remember listening to it going, well, you can tell that she hasn't really bedded anybody with a good pop sensibility yet because it ain't showing up on this fucking album. That's for sure. Then I realized after going through all three, I realized that Celebrity Skin is the exact same album for me, except it's on the opposite side. Whereas Pretty on the Inside has no form, has no melody, has nothing. It's all just sludgy, indie, kind of like raw. Celebrity Skin is all candy. Just pop hook after pop hook after pop hook. And I think that's why it doesn't hit for me, because it feels vapid. And that also might be me bringing something through the door when I'm listening to it.
Well, that's good. So let me do what my notes are on these. So I want to say something too. This is in relation also to your iconic. I'm not saying she's iconic, but I'm using the term to sort of define what you were saying about her having that stature and that look that people associate with that era, especially like with women. It's interesting. Do you think, because Kurt Cobain he was iconic, and she was, let's say, equally iconic. Okay, fair enough. As far as we're talking the appearance and the demeanor and how the image is captured and how the image is transmitted and how people share the image and sort of store it in their memories. I want to say, just before we move on to the music itself, don't you think there's an interesting sort of dichotomy that Kurt's image with the stringy hair, the flannel, and all that, it was very unintentionally iconic. It was just a very natural, that's just how he naturally was, and it turned into something iconic. Whereas with her, at her whatever baby doll and looking like, whatever, the smeared makeup and all the whole deal, right? To me, that seems super manufactured and a concerted effort to take that appearance. Don't you think that they're almost totally contradictory in the sense that his thing was really, it's not studied, it just happened to be, and her thing is very studied and very fabricated?
Well, yeah, because he's just some fucking podunk dude from the middle of nowhere who's poor, doesn't have any fucking money, and he's got ripped jeans and thrift store sweaters. She's a rich kid, and everything was calculated. Everything. And also, that baby doll look
That's the word I wanted, was calculated.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Everything was calculated. Everything was very, I agree with you. And also that baby doll look was stolen from Babes in Toyland. Like that was she was in a band with Kat Jellin, I think is her name. They were trying to do something at some point, and then they broke off, and that was the Babes in Toyland. That was like their shtick, and she kind of just co-opted it. At least that's what Kat claims. Courtney, of course, says the opposite, but I don't know, man. Like you're 100% correct. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is that it was extremely calculated and maneuvered. It's not spontaneous at all.
Yeah, exactly. There's no spontaneity to her thing. And so if I would do this breakdown for how I listened, and I've revisited the albums. I couldn't listen to Live Through This twice through, but I did go back and I tried to listen to it a second time. I couldn't. But I think that as she's doing these 3 albums, she is under a sort of, she has a certain guiding light, or she has a certain, it's not that she has a vision. Okay, she doesn't really have a muse, and she doesn't really have an artistic vision. I want to put that out there. It's very important that people understand there's a difference between what she's doing and what a lot of other people that we talk about on the show do, like Elliott Smith, Mark Linkous, any of those guys. Very different. She doesn't really have a vision. She has a certain constellation of things that she's drawing on in order to construct what she's doing. So when she's doing the first album, Pretty on the Inside, I don't know if you got this because you don't listen to them a lot, but she, on both Pretty on the Inside and Live Through This, she is drawing on Mudhoney and like Mark Arms kind of deal. Now, lyrically, she's nowhere even close, but you can tell that kind of really grungy, sort of borderline nihilistic sort of Seattle proto-grunge thing is an influence on her. You could tell she's really drawn. I had no idea until we listened to this that Mudhoney was really kind of an influence, and it's not just in the music, it's how she's singing, that kind of sneer that she has. I will say this, whether or not she's an icon, her scream is pretty top notch. She's got a very interesting scream. I really enjoy her scream. The first album, it's like the thing that she's drawing on, the things that are guiding her to the completion of the album are kind of like Mudhoney, probably other bands that
she sounds like
Yard or something.
Yeah, and
then some Kim Gordon.
Yeah, I was gonna say she sounds like Kim Gordon.
Yeah, you could tell that on the first album. There's some songs where she's really consciously emulating Kim Gordon, and Kim Gordon's producing that first album.
Yeah.
So Sonic Youth and Mudhoney are the sort of templates. That's the word I was kind of looking for. She has certain templates that are set out for what she's going to do. So for the first album, the templates are Sonic Youth, Mudhoney, and some other bands that like don't come to me immediately, but that I don't listen to a ton either. She and her guitarist do a mediocre job of transmitting Sonic Youth and Mudhoney into this album, and it's just whatever, dude. You just did it because you had to do it for your podcast, okay? The second album, there's you throw less Sonic Youth, Kim Gordon, and now maybe Nirvana.
Yeah, it's
right?
Nirvana.
So the Nirvana template is in there, and I want to say that like no artist has squandered the Nirvana template as badly as Hole does on Live Through This. That's a soundbite.
Mamma mia, that's a spicy meatball.
No artist has squandered the Nirvana template as badly as is squandered on Live Through This. It's not just the album takes forever, it's like every song takes forever, and I just don't understand how any of the songs are hits or how any of the songs are like engaging in any way. Finally, by the third album, the template is now Fleetwood Mac. It's a lot of other things that are kind of more listenable.
The template is from the songwriter who wrote the album for her. Too.
Well, the thing that's strange is on Spotify, a lot of the catchiest songs he's not listed.
But he still wrote them.
On Wikipedia they say that he did. Now I think that she had a certain kind of. I think she and the guitarist had a certain amount of input too, but it was probably a confluence of getting. And as much as you say that there's a lot of like hooky stuff on it, it's not a completely hooky album. There's certain songs on there. There's a song on there called like Northern Star or something where it's just kind of her, and it's not very good or engaging.
No,
it's just really her. But if you listen to, like I said, like Celebrity Skin, Awful, Malibu, stuff like that, you're like, okay, you're drawing from these templates. You got Billy Corgan sort of masterminding how you're drawing from these templates are going to work in a cohesive, engaging way. And then there's another song, I think, Boys on the Radio, which I thought was pretty good too. I want to say there's about like 5 or 6 songs on Celebrity Skin that I enjoyed. I don't think Awful, I liked probably Awful the most, but it's not like a really tremendous song. It's good. So her templates change through the albums. The first one's Sonic Youth Mudhoney. The second one's Mudhoney Nirvana. And then the third one, it's like Fleetwood Mac and all kinds of other like more conventional 70s pop sort of stuff. And it just works out better. She's
on record saying, or at least the consensus is through the people that she worked with and came across and whatnot. So she was more interested in pop star type stuff. She wanted pop, which is why I think she sort of started in the grunge area because there was such a groundswell and it was a sensation. So she started there. And then her North Star, to coin pun intended, was to be that sort of alternative pop star, which she was able to do on Celebrity Skin. I feel like Live Through This, the first like 4 or 5 tracks are cool with me. Like I can listen to it and I can enjoy it. The top track I think is the best song, and then like in the middle of the album, it's just like a void. Like the songs just are like, again, just more mush. And then the back end of the album, there's a couple of cool tracks too. But yeah, I because of the nostalgia factor, I prefer Live Through This over Celebrity Skin. Listening to Celebrity Skin felt like eating a giant Three Musketeers bar. That's what it felt like. Just like nothing. Just like you eat it, and then after you eat it, you go, "Why did I eat that? What was that?"
But I don't know though. I think it also, it's Celebrity Skin too. It kind of is interesting because it was at that point where you had those we talked about on another episode where you're talking about like Toad the Wet Sprocket, Duncan Sheik, Sheryl Crow. It's like the alternative sort, or it's the modern AOR or MOR, whatever they want to call it, adult contemporary sort of music, but that has this sort of alternative kind of flavor to it. Celebrity Skin really fits in to that programming classification. I appreciate that, but I disagree with your analysis. And you know what? Sean said that he loves it when we fight. So I'm going to try to really pick a fight with you here. People message me on Instagram. They're like, I love it when you guys fight. I'm like, you want us to fight more?
Well, I mean, yeah, the disagreement is always fun. I mean, look.
No. Let me just finish it. So you can't say that. You can't say that there's anything on Celebrity Skin that matches the Three Musketeers bar that is the New Radicals. You get what you give. That's a Three Musketeers bar.
That's a fair point. Look, I'll say this because I need to give it its just desserts. The song "Celebrity Skin."
Well said.
Yeah,
just desserts. Good.
"Celebrity Skin" is a great song. I like it a lot. "Malibu" is a great song. Like it a lot. I think those 2 songs are better if you're just sort of nerding out on what it is to write a song. I think those 2 songs are better than anything that's on Live Through This. That being said, I still think Live Through This, for me, captures something like a feeling that I can relate to a little bit more. And again, I think it's just nostalgia. It's just like jammed into that fucking nostalgia hole. I did it again. I don't know, man. I just found, like I said, I found myself bored with Celebrity Skin toward like after like the first 5-6 tracks. I was like, all
Well,
right.
you can say that about all three of the albums, though. It's just with the first two, I was kind of bored after like the first or second track.
Yeah.
But they were all boring when you sit and listen to them all the way through.
Yeah, I enjoyed the second one a little bit more. Would you agree with, after listening to these albums and looking at what Courtney Love, outside of obviously the fortune that she amassed when her husband died, her career has been fucking incredible despite the mediocre artistic output? What the hell? Like, it definitely doesn't match, you know?
You think that her career outside of managing the estate has been spectacular?
I mean, I don't mean that. It's like,
I don't mean like spectacular. I don't mean, let's say successful, not spectacular.
No, successful. Yeah, like it's like, so? I mean, she got nominated for an Academy Award.
That was just that one movie, though, and that was.
But I mean,
before...
fucking, how many Academy Awards have we been nominated for? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's wild. To like, for somebody that, especially since that was the only fucking like movie that she really did. I mean, she might have done other stuff after that. I don't know, but that was like.
You know what? You know what? Okay, wait. This is important. I just remembering this. This is really important. This is really good. Okay, look, Nancy Spungen is the chick that kind of glommed on to Sid Vicious. And according to John Light and Johnny Rotten, she was a really pernicious influence on Sid Vicious, got him into doing dope and stuff. He was already a pretty screwed up kid, but she was a really bad influence. Supposedly, Courtney Love really looked up to Nancy. And I want to say Alex Cox did the Sid and Nancy movie. I believe and this is.
She auditioned for it. I think she might have even been in it.
She's in it.
Yeah.
She's not Nancy. She's she's another character in there.
Yeah, she was up for Nancy though.
Yeah, she's in that movie. So she had it's odd. It's really odd too. You know, when you think about like lots of people that are aspiring actors, musicians, or whatever, they looked at like young actors or whatever in the 60s and 70s. They used to look up to like Marlon Brando or James Dean. And then musicians would look up to like Eddie Van Halen or Robert Plant or something, right? And it's odd that somebody would go and like look up to someone like Nancy Spungen. Right, because Nancy Spungen isn't sort of like the main character of that story. She's like, people say a lot of bad stuff about Yoko Ono, and it's probably unjustified. You know, she was her own avant-garde artist or whatever. But there's the sort of media caricature of Yoko Ono.
She's the avant. Go ahead. Sorry.
Nancy was legitimately like the caricature of Yoko Ono. So it's odd that someone would look at the caricature of this thing that's like this band destroying sort of succubus character and be like, that's what I'm into, right? Isn't that an odd thing?
I think she gets off on being a polarizing force. I think she gets off on the fact that she knows any room she walks into, there's going to be a significant portion of that room that's scared to death of her. I think she loves that. I think she loves being able to control the climate wherever she goes.
That's an interesting point. And then I wanted to say one other thing. So, and then she did The People versus Larry Flint. And then she did I know of another movie. It's really interesting. It wasn't really big, but they made a movie about William Burroughs around the time when he shot his wife. And I think that Courtney Love, I think Kiefer Sutherland plays Burroughs, and Courtney Love, I want to say Burroughs' wife's name was Joan Vollmer. I could be wrong. It could be another Lane Stanley there. But I want to say that Courtney Love plays Joan Volmer in this little, it was a indie B movie about the boroughs sort of thing. It's not that good, but I did end up seeing part of it at a friend's house once. So she did do that movie. So she did other acting roles. She did Before, Sid and Nancy, and then she did this obscure direct-to-video movie about William Burroughs. So she did some other stuff, but the one that you picked out that she did get that Academy Award nomination. That was, I want to say, 96 or 97.
Yeah, 97.
Yeah.
That was her peak. And I guess my point for bringing all that up was just to say that I felt like her artistic output, what she's known for musically, especially when you account for the fact that there are rumors and also facts that support her not even really writing some of this stuff. It's pretty insane that she's had the career that she's had, despite the fact that she was a musician first, right? And that it just seems kind of like a lopsided. Like the result doesn't.
Wait. Okay, can we just say that and shift right into the Billy Corgan portion of the episode?
Yes, I think so.
Because go shifting right into it. Start with what you said. She's a musician first, because I kind of want to say, especially after watching that interview, it doesn't feel like she was anything first. But go ahead.
Yeah,
take it from where you were.
I feel like I'll start with the point that made me bring it up. I feel like her artistic output doesn't match the result of that said output. Like her career was so gigantic. Just her personal career in the public zeitgeist doesn't match the mediocre lexicon that she put out. And she is a musician first.
Okay, I think what you're saying is this. It's not so much her career or anything about it. It's her persona that you're talking about that's huge, right?
Yeah, but I mean her career too, right? But her I guess you're right. I guess
if you go past the sort of facade that you're imagining, but you go and look what's actually behind it, dude. All the stuff that you're seeing, all the stuff that's making up that facade that's in your mind, all the little points, the pixels, to get to my album homework for mimicking birds, all the little pixels, they're not things that are of artistic validity. They're like appearances on the Howard Stern show. They're appearances on talk shows. They're her getting roasted. They're her omnipresence in the media or people talking about her. It's not anything she's doing.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
Well,
she's not anything that she's doing that's of any artistic validity or even in the artistic marketplace.
Yeah, she's doing what she's doing is the control of like perception, right? I mean, was it in the Dream Brother book? It might have been, or maybe I just read it somewhere else, but I remember reading about how Jeff Buckley went on a date with her. I
don't remember that.
He met her around when his star was on the rise, right? When he was like rocketing to fame or whatever. He met her somehow, and then they decided to go out on a date. So he met her somewhere. I don't know. I think he said they were in New York or something. And then they got like bombarded by the paparazzi. And that was the only time that he ever hung out with her, because he realized that she set up the date and then told the press where they were going to be, and then staged a fucking press blitz. And he walked right into it with her. And she was like, "Oh, how did they find us?"
It's so odd, because for her to do, let's say, career maintenance, she doesn't make an album. She doesn't appear in a movie. For her to do career maintenance, she appears on a talk show or she appears in an interview. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not going and saying, I'm making a show, I'm acting in this thing, I'm making an album or whatever. She does interviews. She just basically reproduces or reiterates the basic nature of her own celebrityhood.
So,
he,
I mean, that's a skill too, though, bro.
oh,
Like,
I'm not disagreeing. Like you figure, like Elizabeth Taylor is the one who got married a bunch, right? I want
yeah,
to say that's before our time, but Elizabeth Taylor was somebody who she was like a legitimate actress, had done a lot of stuff, but then there just got to a point where her career consisted of her, because she was such tabloid fodder. It wasn't about making movies. It was just her being Elizabeth Taylor and going on interviews, showing up with Michael Jackson at certain award ceremonies, things like that. It was her just being her. So Courtney Love. Okay, I'm going to finally agree with you. The career of being Courtney Love is a successful career. That position has been filled by one Courtney Love. She's done it superbly. That's the career. It's not a career of making albums, acting well, any of that stuff. It's just the career of being Courtney Love, and she's done that excellently.
masterfully.
It's better said.
Just
So the Billy Corgan interview with her has to be possibly the biggest interview on his channel. I'm not even looking at the stats, but it has to be, right?
probably. I was to that point. I was looking at her Spotify numbers. She still gets like 4 million monthly listeners, dude. That's insane. I don't know why that shocked me. I mean, she's Hole's huge, but
Hole's huge.
Hole's huge. Oh, God damn it. Well, walked right into that one.
How much do we have to really say about the Corgan interview? I mean, it was unexpected because he seemed to be so sort of like emotionally hung up on her, and she seemed to be sort of like disengaged from his attentiveness. But now she made that concession, and they get together and they have this like free falling conversation where he's trying to like do his like autistically holding to certain dogmatic points, and she's just rambling on about any random thing that anything he says brings to her mind, until they finally get to the point where they start talking shit about Kim Gordon, which I found so engaging.
Then they lock in.
They locked in, bro.
Well, first and foremost, what I noticed in that interview is that, and I hate to cull this dude into the ether or out of the ether. I hate to bring him up, but when she spoke, she sounded like Trump, not with the things that she was saying, but just the way that she spoke, like that narcissistic sort of like always sort of like when it wasn't about her, she would speak in a way that would bring it back to her. And it was always just in that like sort of clipped, like one thought doesn't finish to the next thought doesn't finish. And it's like it sounded, that's what it reminded me of.
No, you're totally right. But the thing is that remember, there's the point in the interview where she brings up Trump doing that thing, she lauds it. So it's very postmodern what's going on here.
Yeah. Well, she said that she does that. She's like, to protect myself, I divert and make 7 different points that don't connect. Like she said that at one point too.
I like that sort of gossipy thing. And obviously the thing about gossip is kind of interesting. Like I told you before we started recording, I've been rereading Heidegger's Being in Time. And for Heidegger, gossip would be just really inauthentic sort of being. Dasein, right? It's really inauthentic. But what's really interesting, though, when we're talking about the level of celebrity, success, fame, all this stuff, gossip functions differently, because what you're describing with her, it's not just narcissism. This coincides with Trump as well. It's a narcissistic vacuity. There's a vacuum, and it's sort of filled in, or the top coat is sort of narcissism, or it's floating to the top or something of the vacuum, right? What's interesting about the gossip thing is it actually makes them focus in on a very discernible property or person. And the person kind of is a property, because we just know of Kim Gordon as this Kim Gordon. We don't know her personally, you and I, right? So it makes them focus in on something and really sort of verbally engage with that property in a way where there's stakes. Because all the stuff she's doing that's the vacuous narcissism or narcissistic vacuity, that's what I said. It's just hot air, dude. And it's distracting and it's not engaging. Focusing in on something that's really particular that we kind of know of in our own way, it's like, oh, that's really interesting. And the fact that Corgan corroborated it, it's like it gives that little gossip that they're having, it makes it actually substantial and authentic.
Yeah, it's true. No, you're right. You make a good point. I think he's sort of similar to her. He's not as busted out. Like, he's a little more put together, but I think the reason he's always hung up on her is because he's very similar to her.
I don't know, dude. To me, he seems a lot more flailing. Like, I mean, she's flailing, but it seems like he's willing to put in a lot of work and stretch out in a lot of different directions and possibly have it just not really connect artistically. You think of all the different albums he's done, the Swan thing, a lot of those Pumpkins albums. That all takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and commitment, and just throw it out there and it just doesn't connect.
No. Artistically, he's nothing like her. I don't mean that.
Yeah.
That dude musically, I would be a fool to say anything bad about what that dude can do musically. Even in the midst of those unlistenable albums, in my opinion, I can't listen to some of those albums, but but they're not for me. You know, they're for someone else. He's still musically. I don't want to say genius, but he's an incredible songwriter and musician. Period. Full stop. Like, I would never say anything different. I think personality-wise, character-wise, the reason he was probably able to become as good as he was musically has to do with something in him his dad was a fucking gangster, dude. His dad was like a fucking... he comes from a troubled place.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know, just listening to them talk, you could tell, especially when they brought up, dude, remember when he brings up the Pavement beef? And the funniest part about that is that he's the only one that's pissed about that. The fucking Pavement dudes don't give a shit. They've never given a shit. I think they ragged him in that song, and then it became this thing, and it got stuck in his fucking craw, and he plays it off like he doesn't care. Like, we were watching and listening to two unreliable narrators. That's what they are, both of them.
Well, the thing that's really classic though about the Pavement thing is that it's like the cup or the line is, it's like Stone Temple Pilots are elegant bastards. They're foxy to me. Are they foxy to you? The Stone Temple Pilots guys actually thought that was cool. They're like, nice. And then the next line is like, and then it's like out on tour with the Smashing Pumpkins, Nature Kids, but they don't have no function.
Yeah.
I don't understand what they mean. And I
really don't give a fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can't really walk that off. The way the Stone Temple Pilots guys were given the option, they're like, you could get upset, but it's not really that anything to get upset by. You can be kind of cool and walk it off. It's sort of like, oh, we're definitely walking it off. Whereas the Smashing Pumpkins thing, it was a little bit more hit 'em up.
Yeah, but here's the problem though. Here's my problem with that is that Billy Corgan has been on. He's been doing the press rounds for the past 6-7 years, getting himself back in. He went on Joe Rogan. He's talking a lot, and I remember I watched that Rogan interview. Unfortunately, I had to watch the Joe Rogan to see the interview, but he was on that Rogan interview, and he was very honest, or his version of honest. He was seemingly honest about what he and his band were like in the midst of success, and he was talking about how he was just insufferable. He just got to his head, and he thought he was the best thing ever. So I find it hilarious that he can in one breath be aware of how much of a cunt he was.
Yeah.
And at the same time, not realize that what those fuckers did when they roasted him in their song was 99% likely was a result of the fact
of
that
his behavior.
Yeah,
of his own behavior.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So
yeah, no, I know, and I hadn't. I'm glad you brought that point up because I hadn't really even thought about it that way. But yeah, because the way that it seems, because people didn't know, and there's a reason that like people had problems with him back then. But yeah, it's like the vibe that you get from the song is that like Pavement are like slackers. They're kind of sloppy. They kind of don't care. They're really embodying it. And Smashing Pumpkins is kind of musically try hard. And then this other aspect is kind of like saying, well, like, no, Steve Malcolmus isn't like dissing Cherub Rock or Today. He's just dissing like whatever interactions he's had with Billy Corgan. And I think that makes it way more palatable and understandable. And that's probably also why Corgan would keep bringing it up, unless he actually misinterprets it and thinks that it's about like his music, which
no, I think, yeah. I mean, I remember I remember hearing something else about that supposed beef. And I can't remember what it was, but it was sort of like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I never had a problem with it. What about you? No, I don't know. It's crazy, right? And you're like, okay, something doesn't make sense. But to wrap that up, I think that he and Courtney in that interview show that they're very similar in certain ways, characteristically, not musically.
Got it. All right, let's move on to the homework section.
Did we have a hot take in the episode?
No, I think the hot take was just our attempt at objectivity.
Yeah.
Put the spicy meatball quote before that, my guy.
Mamma mia, that's a spicy meatball.
Hey, my hot take is I'm trying to be objective over here.
I'm trying not to listen to what Mama told me and come in with clean ears.
I'm coming in with clean ears over here.
Forget about it.
I like that. No, that's good. I'm coming in with clean ears over here. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That Razor Blade Suitcase is a good album. I'm coming at it with clean ears.
I'm coming out with, what did I tell you? What did I tell you before we walked through the door? We said coming in with clean ears is the only way.
Coming in with clean, this is a segment, my dude. Coming in with clean ears. If we have t-shirts, that's what it's going to say on it. Mixtape Hotline, coming in with clean ears.
The legend is born, sir. We found it. We found our North Star.
We found our North Star.
All right. So homework. Let's start the homework.
It's homework time.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. I had the self-titled album by Mimicking Birds. It reminded me a lot of the indie stuff that I was listening to in the early 2000s, and I did really like a lot of it a lot. I had about 4 standout songs. Let me look. Hold on while I look on my phone really quick.
Come on. Well, we ask so little of each other, sir.
Burning Stars, Subsonic Words, Pixels. Those are my 3 favorite songs. I thought that the last couple songs weren't super engaging to me, but the stuff that I liked on, for the most part of the album, was really good and engaging. And this one of all the albums you've given me so far, lyrically, I was the most into.
Well, Isaac Brock produced it, right?
The Modest Mouse dude?
Yeah, he has a label, or I don't know if he still does, but I'm pretty sure he does, called Glacial Pace. And I think this was one of the first bands that he signed to his label, and I'm pretty sure he produced this album.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's actually really good. So if we're doing the score,
songwriting,
I'm gonna say overall an 8.
Okay.
Lyrics, I'm going to say 8.5. Production is like a 9. And then overall, the
album construction.
album construction 8.5. So my score overall for the album is 8.5. It's high, and there was songs I did, like I listened to Pixels like at least 3 times, and a few other songs. I thought there's a thing with that type of indie songwriting where it's so hushed and so sort of meditative that when you do get a sense that the singer is kind of breaking out of that sort of calmness a little bit vocally, your ears pick up. And the good thing is he does that. I remember him doing it on Pixels. So, and then they do a few things musically they throw in that kind of are a little unexpected. So overall I really did like this album, and like I said, I had about 3 or 4 songs that I was like, I definitely hit liked on. So favorable review from me.
Awesome. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I figured you might. They're really good, man. And nobody really knows about them. Yeah, man. Let's go to my homework. My homework was the album The Homeland by Bobby Kahn and the Glass Gypsies. I didn't know what to expect. I remember putting it on, and I was listening to it, and I was like, the way the album starts is so dissonant and bizarre. I was like, this is gonna be great. I knew the way it started. I was like, this is gonna be fun. I really liked this album, man. It's
cool.
Really good. I never heard of it. Never heard of these guys. I was really impressed with the musicianship. You could just tell these dudes are ringers, like just the way that they're sort of in control of their sound. It's got that sort of like 70s fucking flavor to it, like the way they kind of jump back and forth between like getting all weird, because they present that first track sort of presents this weird dissonance, and you're like, okay, is this going to be sort of like experimental? But then by the middle of the album, I'm listening to, it sounds like a fucking like a mid 70s band or
rock
something.
Album. Yeah.
Really cool, man. Obviously, We Come in Peace, incredible. Laugh track, We're Taking Over the World. I really loved Home Sweet Home. That piano track that he does. That's Home Sweet Home, right?
Yeah. There's coughing on my car.
Yeah.
I'm free to live.
Yeah. What's the line about like he's
I'm free to live in constant fear.
Yeah. The next line where he's like talking about his garage, and it's got a big garage.
I got food in my garage,
and I got a really big garage.
Did you like that one song where there's the lyric where Elton John came on my radio at work? He said, "I've got a song just for you," and it was beautiful.
It was so funny, dude. I loved the humor in it too. It was like really dark sarcasm. I really liked it, man. I thought the songwriting, I gave it an 8. The lyrics, 8 and 8.5. The production was great. I'll give that a 9. And album construction, I'll give it like an 8. I would say solid 8 for overall.
It's a good, as you see this, the Trump thing has been unveiled as a neocon project. It's a fully neocon project, and that album is a critique of, the last really full-blooded neocon president we had, George W. Bush. And it's interesting how timely it is now, again, in this new administration.
Yeah, now that I know that, I'm gonna go sit down and like really look at the lyrics too. I think is it in the lyrics? Like, does that exist?
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, yeah, good stuff, dude. I really liked this album a lot, man. It was really good. This coming week, I'm gonna give you a fun one. I'm gonna give you one that's just fun, and hopefully you'll dig it. It's the band Self, and the album is called Gizmogery.
Okay, well, the name is Self, and then the album is... Okay.
Gizmogery, yeah.
Okay, so my homework assignment for you is Pneumonia by Whiskey Town, the last official Whiskey Town album.
All right, I'll check it out. For Steve of the Happy Casualties, I am Nick from Petrov the Hero saying, forget about it, don't forget about us.
Coming with clean ears.